welcome to Sentimental Pastimes. My name is Cheryl. I have finished Steampunk Bunny from Diamond Art Club. The artwork is by Sandra Vargas. This cutie I started on Valentine's Day. I just love the pinks and reds, and the bunny with the pink eyes is just beautiful, and I just thought it was very appropriate for Valentine's Day. So I started it then, and I finished it today. It's March 4th, 2022. I had lots and lots of drills left over. I've already de-kitted. I've already put all of the drills in bags. I share my leftover drills with a friend of mine, so I always put them in a bag and put on there the DMC number and send them off to her so she can have a collection of drills. I'm not interested in really saving them, so that's what I do with them. This is a round. It is 56 by 56, 22 inches by 22 inches, is square, and it had 51 colors. And here she is, all finished. Let me scooch her over a little bit so that I can get her all the way in the frame. Like I said, she's 22 inches by 22 inches. And the sparkle is unbelievable. Unbelievable. The ABs are all throughout this piece. There are ABs everywhere. All of this white on this wheel, all of the white are ABs. There are red ABs in the mushrooms, in her eye, in the cards. I love that the gear starts off like light color and then it gradiates to this dark rusty color and then gets back to white. There's a lot of detail in this piece. The gears inside the wheel there, and the hands on the clock. It's just beautiful. And like I said, this sparkle, it looks like glitter. It sparkles so much. I just wish the camera would pick up on the sparkle, because what I can see and what you can see is totally different. I see like a winter day with a fresh coat of snow on the ground and the sun shining on it. You know how it sparkles? That's the way this is sparkling to me. So there she is. Absolutely gorgeous. Now that I have her finished, my next start will be a Chuck Pinson from Diamond Art Club. March 1st through the 31st is Chuckalong5. It's an event for the diamond painting community, and you're encouraged to work on a Chuck Pinson. So let me show you what I have planned for that. This is called Simple Country. It's 74 by 56 centimeters. It's a round drill with 43 colors. I just love this old farmhouse and the cat in the front, and then there's one on the step. There's a tire swing. There are so many houses that look like this in my area where I grew up and where I live now in West Virginia. So I love, love, love this piece. I've had this for quite a while. It's one of the very first Diamond Art Clubs that I bought. And here is the canvas. It's very easy to read, big. The canvas sparkles. That's what Diamond Art Club does. I don't know if that you can see the sparkle in the, yeah, you can see a little bit there in the green. But it's just beautiful, and I'm excited to get started on this one finally. So this is the one I'll be working on for the Chuckalong5 event. There's the cat. So I'm going to be kitting this up, so come along with me. So for this one, I'm going to be using 2 of these trays that I got from Amazon. I have 4, but see, the one holds 60, each one holds 32, so that's 64 colors, and then I can use the bottom 2 drawers for a different project. So that's what I love about these. I plan to get more of these, and they interlock. They slide together. You can take 1 off, you can take 2 off. But what I like about this storage system is when I'm working on a piece, I can just pull out both drawers, or 1 drawer, whatever I need, and just use the drawers. This doesn't have to sit here. I can have the drawers sitting here. So they're already numbered for my previous piece. I just leave the numbers on them because all kits come numbered numerically 1 through ever how many colors there are. So that's how I kit up. So let's get started and get this kitted up so I can get it started today. Okay, like I said, this one has 43 colors. It has 2 ABs, and I'll get started here, plugging these into their respective containers. Diamond Art Club's trains are packaged by least amount of drills to most. So the numbers are going to be all over the place. There will be some crinkling, y'all. People, you will hear crinkle. So I'll get this started. What I'm going to do is just look for 890. They are in numerical order on the canvas and on this legend here. So I'll look for the 890, and that's number 26. I'll pull out number 26 and fill this container. So that's how I do it. And I'm cutting this. This whole package is not going to fit in this vial. So I'm just cutting a little opening, and then I will tape it shut until I need more of this color. I'm going to put in there as many as it'll hold. Maybe I cut it too small this time. I usually use a funnel, but if there's any staticky drills, I'm just not interested in fooling with that today, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, there's 26, 898 is number 27. So how is everyone today? You doing okay? My husband had hip replacement surgery on Tuesday. Today is Friday. So I've been preoccupied with that. But he's doing very well. He pushed it a little too much. He's you know, he wasn't in much pain until last night, because I guess the nerve block wore off, and oh yeah, he was in some really bad pain last night. I tried to tell him to take it easy the first couple of days, you know, and just do his exercises and walk, you know, but he insisted on doing all kinds of steps. He was up and down steps. He was walking way too much, in my opinion. And I tried to tell him, I said, you know, you might feel good now, but you're not going to feel this good in a couple days. And the more you do now that you're not supposed to, you're going to feel that. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I feel fine. Okay. 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 All right. Macho man. Let's see who's, well, last night I had to help him get his pajamas on and ready for bed, and you know, he was kind of waiting and I looked at him and he said, "Go ahead and say it." And I said, "What? Say what?" He said, "Tell me, say I told you so." I said, "No, you know, some things you just have to learn for yourself." And that's one of the things. I've had 3 cesareans and a hysterectomy. So I've got a little experience with the surgery deal. But he just didn't want to listen to me. So after he laid down, he looked at me and he said, "I'm going to be a good boy. I'm going to be compliant from this point on." So he is taking it easy today, which is good. He's doing his exercises, getting up every hour, you know, and walking a bit, and stretching those muscles out. So he'll be fine. He just needed a wake-up call. He thinks he's 30 years old. No, actually, I think he thinks he's 18 years old, the way he acts. But he's been in so much pain the past several months. And then it like, this is the culmination of all that pain. And then hopefully pretty soon, he's going to be able to walk without pain. And that's going to be wonderful to see him walk without a cane and not be hurting so bad. So what's everybody else up to? What are you up to? The weather is beautiful here. It's beautiful. It's been in the upper 50s and 60s. It's going to be that way all week. I think spring will probably have 1 or 2 more bouts of really cold weather. It's typical for this area. And then it'll be over. And it'll be spring. So I'm excited. I don't typically leave my house too much. I'm a hermit, just like my mother was. My mother loved to be home, and she hardly ever went anywhere till they got their camper, and then she would go to the camper and stay at the camper, and then she'd come home. So I'm the same way. I worked my whole adult life and was always, you know, always gone, never home, always running here or there with working full time and ball practice and school events and, you know, just everything, just never home. And when I retired, I said, I'm staying home. I don't want to go anywhere. So, but when my husband, you know, when we went to the hospital, I booked a hotel room because he doesn't like me staying in the hospital with him because you know, they're in every 2 hours to take his vitals, and they're, you know, it's noisy, and he said, you need to be rested so that, you know, you can do what you have to do, you know, to take care of me right now. So, and I'm the same way. I don't let him stay with me either. So he stayed at the hospital, and I was there you know, the entire time, from the time he got there until he got to his room and ate his dinner, and they got him up walking 4 hours after his surgery. 4 hours after a full hip replacement. It's just amazing. But it seems every place that I went, from getting something to eat to the gas station to just everything that I encountered the entire time, the customer service was awful. Absolutely awful at every single place that I went to. I don't understand what has happened, you know. It's like I've been in a time machine, and, you know, I went in, well, you know, like a stasis kind of thing. I went in at one time when everybody was friendly and would do anything in the world to make sure you were happy and satisfied with your purchase, or, you know, your service, to coming out of it, and nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares. It's like, I'm not worried about it. Well, you know, when drive-thrus, I get tickled with, well, my stepson said one time we were taking him to a basketball game when he was in school, and we went through McDonald's, and of course they got our order wrong. And he said, you know, he said McDonald's needs 3 windows. They need 1 window to place your order, 1 window to give you your order, and then the 3rd window to take back everything that they gave you that's wrong and make it right, you know. And that's the truth. It's honestly, you have to check your order every time. Well, you know, every time I would go get something to eat, my order was never right. I ordered from a little place called McAdoo's. Well, it's a chain here, and I love it. And they moved to a new location, you know, about several months ago, and it's too small. They went from a big place in the mall to half of a building, and it's too small. And the employees that they have no clue what they're doing. So my first experience with it was not good. I went with a friend of mine, and I thought, well, I'll just place an order and go pick it up. How hard could that be, right? No, I went there and stood in line, and there were people that came in after me that got served before I did. I just was standing there looking around, and this gentleman was standing next to me. He was there to pick up an order too. And, you know, finally he stopped somebody. He was in front of me. He stopped somebody, and he said, I just need to pick up an order. So they went and got his order and charged him for it. And then he looked in the bag and he said, but this is not right. This is not what, where's my salad? Oh, we're sorry. So they go back in the back and get him a salad. Well, then they look to the people who need to be seated that had just come in, and I'm still standing there. So I said, excuse me, I'm here to pick up an order. So they finally figure out where my order is. They go get it and put it in the bag. And I'd already paid for it online when I ordered it. So I walked out of the building, and as I'm walking out, that gentleman's coming back in. And I said, don't tell me. He said, no, they can't do anything right. Oh, he was livid. He was livid because, you know, he'd already been standing there and standing there and standing there. So he goes back in, and I thought, well, I better check my order. And I looked at my order. No macaroni salad. I ordered macaroni salad for my husband. No macaroni salad in the bag. So I said, I cannot believe that. So I walked back in there. And that gentleman looked at me and said, are you kidding me? I said, no, they didn't get my macaroni salad. So we both had to stand there yet again and wait to be waited on, you know. And so I get back out to the car, which, you know, I should have known by this point. I should have known. But I get back out to the car, and I open the bag, and I notice there's no fork in there. Well, you know, when you're takeout, you're supposed to have utensils, because that's the whole point of takeout, right? No utensils in there whatsoever. And I said, I'm not going back in there. I'm not going back in there. So we had to rustle up some utensils to eat with. And then the next morning I went to get him a biscuit because he was complaining about that hospital food. He said it was terrible. I went to get him a biscuit and waited and waited and waited in line there. And I checked my order before I pulled off, and I said, you didn't give me a hash brown. Oh, we're sorry. You know, it's like, my husband says, you tell them what you'd like, and then you take what they give you. That's basically it. That's basically it. Nobody says thank you. Nobody smiles at you. They just hand you your food and not have a nice day, you know. And whenever they do that to me, I always look them, I will stop, and I will make sure they're looking at me, and I will say, I hope your day gets better. I do that because that kind of brings them back to reality, and that by just saying that, they realize that they're not paying any attention, you know. And if you, it's a nice way of doing that to let them know that, and they can't get mad at you for that because you're telling them, I hope your day gets better. You know, it's like I noticed, it was very obvious that you're having a bad day, right? And you know, if somebody said that to me, I would be like, oh yeah, I need to check myself, because I'm obviously being a bear. So first AB. You see that? Oh, how pretty. I don't know where that's going to go, but we'll see. We'll see. I guess there's some like lilac flowers up there. But it's almost like, you know, this isn't my business. I don't care. You know, I don't care if you have a good experience or a bad experience. I'm just here to get a paycheck, honestly. And companies have a hard time finding people who will abide by their training and, you know, represent their company well, because nobody cares. That's the sad part of it. I don't care how good the training is. If you've got an employee that that really doesn't want to be there, that's just there because they kind of have to be these days, that's not going to reflect well on your customer service, you know. But it seems like the attitude, especially in the service industry, is just like, you know, well, it's not my business. You know, it's not my, if I get fired, I can go get another job tomorrow. It's really, really, really changed. But it seemed like every time I turned around, and then social worker at the hospital. I had called her days before my husband's surgery. And because, you know, my husband brought home this packet from the doctor's office saying what all he needed, you know, to bring to the hospital with him and have, you know, the whole thing. And it said he needed some DME equipment, a walker, shower chair, bedside toilet, things like that. So I called her and I said, so how do we go about, I used to work for a DME company, but I handled outpatient. So inpatient was something that was totally different. Plus, it was a managed care plan through his hospital, through his insurance, and you know, I wasn't familiar with this insurance. So I said, what do we need to do to make this happen so that he'll have what he needs? Oh, don't worry about that. We'll get him that when he gets here. We'll take care of all that when he gets here. I said, okay, because I was just making sure, you know, I don't want to, you know, not do something I was supposed to do. I didn't know if you all were handling it or if we needed to. No, we'll take care of all that. Well, we get, you know, close to being discharged, and the other little social worker comes in there and she says, does he have a walker? No. I didn't realize she was social services. I didn't see her badge, but I said, no. The social worker told me, there's the other AB. Sorry, my throat is really tickled today. I said, the social worker told me that you all would take care of that one once we got here. Oh, no, ma'am, not through his insurance. We can't do that. We can't, we've got a DME provider, but they can't bill through this insurance because it's a managed care stay. Okay. So, what are you telling me right now? Well, our DME provider can't bill the insurance, is what I'm telling you. So, you're telling me he's not going to have a walker to leave here with. Well, I'll go check and see, you know, what, you know, she said, but I'm from social services. And I said, well, are you the one I talked to? She said, no, I think you talked to the other girl. I said, well, then can you go talk to the other girl? Because she told me that, you know, everything would be taken care of. Well, we never bill. I said, it doesn't matter to me what your, you know, what your typical protocol is for this. What matters to me is she told me that you all would take care of everything, and now you're telling me that you can't take care of everything. Long story short, I had to private pay for a walker. I had to write a check for a walker so that he would leave the hospital with a walker. It's unbelievable. Well, and even before that, they wouldn't let me go in pre-op with him. So I had to, when he went to pre-op, I had to, I went and sat in the car. But before I left, they told me, they gave me this little card with his little passcode on it. And they said, when he comes out of surgery, the doctor will call you and tell you how he did. And you know, that everything's okay. After that, wait about 30-40 minutes and then call this number with this passcode and ask them what room he's in, because a lot of times they don't know which room they're going to until they're almost ready to go out of recovery. So I left him at 8 o'clock in the morning. And he said, the nurse who took him to pre-op told me, he said it should be 2.5, 3 hours. I said, okay. So I went out and I sat in the parking lot and I cross-stitched. best I could because I was worried and I was a little distracted. Then I had to frog, you know, and cross stitch or frogging means that you stitched it wrong and you have to rip it out. And so that's what I kind of spent the morning doing, was stitching and then ripping it out and stitching and ripping it out. So 2 hours went by. 2.5 hours went by. 3 hours went by. I texted my oldest son, I said, I'm getting a little worried here because it's been 3.5 hours and I haven't heard anything. And, you know, my mind's racing and I'm like, what's gone wrong? What's going on? So I said, well, I'm going to give it a few more minutes. And he told me, he talked me down. He said, calm down. Everything's fine. He said, they're they probably didn't get started on time. And, so I said, yeah, you're right. I know how all that goes. So I waited another half hour, begrudgingly. Still no phone call. So I called the number on that card and I said, this surgery was only supposed to take an hour. And I've been waiting for 4 hours and I haven't heard anything. And she said, let me check. So she comes back on the line and she says, oh, he's already in his room. Let me tell y'all. I said, what room's he in? She gives me his room number. I go in the building, and of course, it's like TSA. With all the COVID protocols, it's unbelievable. And finally get cleared to go see my husband. And I walk in there, and he's sitting up in the bed eating. And the first thing he says to me is, this food is awful. I wish I had some Chick-fil-A. That's the first thing he said to me. Not, hi, there's no smile on his face. No, oh my gosh, I'm so glad to see you. Oh, I let him have it. I said, you stinker. I said, I have been sitting out in that parking lot, scared out of my mind about you, hoping that you're okay, hoping that you're alive, hoping that you're, and you're going to fuss about the food when you sit. Oh, y'all just don't know. I wanted to just sit down and bawl. That's what I did. That's what I did. He felt bad. He said, I'm so, and he was loopy. Of course he was loopy, and I knew that, but I wasn't crying over that. I was crying because he was okay. It was kind of like, what I'm talking about. You've had those cries. I said, nobody called me. He said, where you been? I said, nobody called me. Nobody called me. And as soon as I went over to lay my purse down, I got the phone rang. The phone rang, and it was a nurse. His nurse, who was right outside the door, she didn't see me come in, and she says, yes, your husband is asking for you. Really? Well, I've been here the whole time. Y'all never, I didn't say anything. I said, well, I just walked in the door. Honestly. My whole adult life, I have what's called buzzard's luck. That's what I call it, buzzard's luck, because it's like Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it's going to go wrong for me. That is standard operating procedure for me and my life. Because, and I warned my husband when we got together and he asked me to marry him. I said, you know, I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you full disclosure here. This is how my life goes, and I'm not sure if you want to sign on to that. A couple years in our marriage, he said, boy, you were right. I said, I tried to tell you. And you can't hold me responsible at this point because that's a pretty purple. Where'd I get it? Okay, and then the last one is gray. $37.99 is $40. And I am officially all kitted up. I'm so excited. I'm excited to get this one started. So thank you very much for visiting with me, for listening to me fuss a little bit. I appreciate your time. And I hope you got some stitching in or some diamond painting in while you were listening to me blabber on. So until I see you again in the next video, you have a wonderful day, a sparkly day, and happy diamond painting.